Ladies and gentle pawns, welcome back to another video. This one's a little bit more interesting because today is my official announcement of me going to get a title, and this starts a new series. Yes, it may be a copycat of another person's series, but I'm going to do a road to title series, not a road to GM, because I don't think I'll ever hit it. And yeah, I'm going to go get a title. The lowest title is the following. It is the Candidate Master title. And the Candidate Master title, you need a rating around 2200, and you don't need a norm, and it is one of the lowest, but it's still a title and is still recognized by FIDE. There's a lot that I need to work on, but I believe that I'm going to do it, and yeah, it may take a long time. I really don't know what the end goal or end result is going to be, but I will try my best to try and get there. I started chess when I was around 16, and I've been at it for around 3.5 years. So now I think it's time for me to go and give it a shot. I've hit 2,000 rating on chess.com. I think that will at least give me a little bit somewhere, and I just got to continue to grind, continue to work to get better. And yeah, that is kind of the goal. And you know, as a late starter, it's a lot harder to get to the goals that you want to accomplish, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop me from trying. So with that in mind, I've been practicing, and I've been practicing a lot. Believe it or not, I've been practicing a lot with over the board chess. So today I have a couple games for you, and yeah, I've been playing a lot on League Chess, the 1510, because the chess.com 1510, I find it a little bit interesting. I don't want to be also losing rating, and I really don't care about what my League Chess rating is anyway, so I've decided to play some games and use an actual real-life board to transfer the moves from the computer to a real-life board. And so I use the 1510, so I have time to think. And my goodness, I'm telling you, I've actually started to, solidify, my game and start looking for good moves and good opportunities. So here's the first game. The first game we start at is d4 and knight f6. So we have some sort of Indian game. And believe it or not, I've been playing a lot of Grunfeld ideas with g6 and d5, but I decided to go for a Nimzo. But he delayed the Nimzo, and I like to play this b6 idea and basically fianchetto my bishop and have two active bishops, and I honestly like this. So he goes here, and I still go with my Nimzo idea. He delayed this knight move, and so I still continue with my Nimzo idea, but now I have this other bishop and this fianchettoed pawn. And so I castle, I take his piece, and then I have a very nice move, and that's bishop to b7 and knight to e4. And this is very nice. This is exactly what you want in this type of opening. You don't want to start breaking out with these pieces right away, because he does have the center, and you want to make the initiative to try and get this bishop and basically double up his pawns, which, if not dealt properly, can be a huge weakness for the opponent. And he plays here, and this is the first perplexing move. And it was an inaccuracy, and I was like, this doesn't seem like a good idea, because yes, it's attacking my rook, but it doesn't deal with the problem right away. I thought of, maybe going, like maybe to, rook to e8 and trying to get out of the way. But there's a more forcing move, and I played the best move, c5. And so we do get an exchange, but I was wondering, do I either take with the knight or do I take with the pawn and, ruin this kind of structure? But I realize my pawn is kind of active, and if I bring my pawn here, it controls more of this for the future, for future breakouts for white. And so I took with c5, with the c5 pawn with my b pawn. And I like this. And I like this a lot. And now I have ideas of going, knight c6, queen here, targeting this weak pawn. And I just really liked my position. My knight, it's not getting kicked out because the knight hasn't done anything to, kick out my knight. And the pawn is not here to kick out my knight either. And the queen can't do much because my bishop is defending. And then I realized, why did he just go back? I was very perplexed. First, he goes out to attack, and then he goes back to the same square. And at this point, I was like, I have to be winning. So I take double his pawns. Queen f6 is a very nice move. Now I'm threatening some forking ideas of the king and the rook. He plays this move, and I realized, I said, that doesn't deal with the problem right away. I feel like he had to maybe play queen c1, but then queen c1 kind of deals with the same idea. And I didn't think queen d2 was any better. And so I was like, okay, well, my queen and my knight, let's simplify it and let's get another pawn. So I take and I get another pawn. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just chilling. What's the point? It's king's not castled, and I have nothing to worry about. And I had lots of time on the clock. And so he plays rook here. And at first I was like, okay, he's threatening this bishop to g2 idea, skewering my queen and rook. And I actually spent a lot of time to try and figure something out. But I was like, okay, yeah, you can fork me. But I guess knight c6 was the only move that came across that I came across that I thought was good. Computer also suggests queen f6, but I was like, yeah, if I go here and he goes here, even if I go back and let's say he takes, yes, we have this horrible pawn wall, and yes, he could try and infiltrate going here. But in the end, I felt very comfortable, so I played knight c6. And then he played queen d7, attacking this knight like here, and so he still has ideas of still forking my pieces. But I realized something, and I said, that queen move isn't as accurate. Let me just move my knight out of the way, attacking your knight, and also trying to bring my knight into this position like so. He goes back, and the winning move is definitely rook to a to d8. I didn't see it right away, but I decided to bring my knight in. Well, first, bring the rook, and then bring my knight in. This is not the most accurate move because of rook g3, and I kind of forgot about that idea, but, I wasn't too worried. I'm still winning, but, the idea is checkmate or taking this free pawn. But he goes here, and I start to realize, wait a minute, I can actually do a really nasty tactic of knight takes here, because if takes, I fork, and I also win your rook. But I didn't see that, and instead I was like, okay, I want to play this safe. I don't want to get too crazy. So I bring my queen back. It's a simple move. Yes, I had tactics along the way, but sometimes I was looking for, better positional moves. As I've started playing more chess, I realized that I need to play more positional moves and just simplify, don't need to go crazy with these tactics. If I'm already up, in a very nice position, and with these pawns, he's not really going to do much. He goes bishop here, and now he starts his own little attack, but he has nothing. And in fact, after I move my knight and he takes my pawn, king h8, and he plays rook g3. And I kind of laughed to myself because, wait, he Fisher trapped himself. And if you don't know the very famous game of the World Chess Championship match, I think it was game 1, where Bobby Fischer took a free pawn and lost his bishop because of that pawn maneuvering. And I played g6, and I said, oh wow, okay, thank you for your bishop. You can go here, but king g7, And rook to h8 is coming on the way. You can try and sacrifice, but all of my pieces are coordinated together with the king. And this was just amazing. And so I went on to simplify, took a free pawn, won his queen, and played here. And now I'm winning a rook, and there's also mating ideas with rook d8. And just bringing my last two pieces in. I don't even need to care about this bishop anymore because it's so locked. He moves here, and instead of taking for mate, I just take his rook. But yeah, he resigned in this position. And it was just a very simple game. If we go back, I just played positionally. I found this knight e4 idea, which definitely was a huge part of the game to, weed out his bishop, take double the pawns, and just play positional chess where, I was in a more dominant position. And because he didn't castle his king, he was in trouble and just lost his pieces. So it was quite a very cool game and a very easy game too. Just where, I settled myself down and just play simple chess. But then we go to the next game. And the next game is a little bit more interesting because, I play a lot of e4. I play some d4 sometimes, some b4, all those different types of openings. I like to, have a wide variety, and I've been learning more openings as I, continue to get better at the game. So I start out with e4 because, I'm familiar with e4, and I like doing, e4, e5, and then mainline Vienna because, I'm familiar with that opening. And so, but, my opponents always like to play c5, the Sicilian. And so we go into the Grand Prix attack because I like the Grand Prix attack. And yes, there is this idea for black where you are winning and you strike out with d5. But, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. So I castle, computer wants me to take, or theory says I have to take, and then go queen e2, which I think is absolutely insane. But I just castle, then bring my knights over. He goes queen here, and the idea is simply, to take the bishop. But I can just play a very simple move, a4, and just not worry about much. And this is winning for black. But, I decide, what, the bishop's kind of done its job, and I decided to take. And of course, it's not the most accurate, but now my idea is to switch all of my pieces to the other side of the board, get this light squared complex, maneuver my knights into the position, and just play a very positional but a strong attacking game, maybe ideas of g4, h4, and just go fully attack that one side. Yes, my opponent can, long castle, but in the Sicilian, you barely long castle. So I played d3. He plays bishop to e7, and now he's kind of baiting me that he's going to castle. I play queen e1, and he does. So I called his bluff, and I said, you know what, I'm bringing my knight to the other side, and now I'm going to, maneuver my pawns and maneuver my knights and my attack this way, and just go for it. Because, yeah, he could have some counterplay, but he's got to go crazy with, his attack as well. But mine is, I think, a little bit more well-rounded. Computer says elsewise because there's f5. But usually in the Sicilian, you don't want to get too crazy. So my opponent plays rook to e8. And then I clamp the center in and go e5 because now, I don't want to go f5, which is part of the Sicilian idea, the Grand Prix specifically, because he's given me the option to go here and just clamp in these squares, and the bishop can't do much over here and not over here. And so I liked e5, and I said, okay, I'm fine. And now the attack continues. Computer already says h5 right away, but I just said, I'm just going to develop my queen, get my bishop in, not go too crazy, and also defend this pawn from being taken. And so he goes bishop to d7, and then I attack his knight. He goes back, and then I go king h1, and this is a prophylactic move, because I go king h1 because for ideas of maybe a c4 break, and this file being, or this diagonal being opened. And so I played king h1 because I still didn't know what my full plan was, and I just, did it as a precautionary move. He goes rook to d8. I go knight to e4, bishop to c6, and then I strike out with g5, which is actually a blunder. And the reason why it's a blunder is because now black can strike out with c4. And I just said, you know what, I'm going for the attack. I have to. Or else, I don't know. Yes, he can strike back, but then, after this, then I have f5, and I thought I was completely fine. But he goes for it. And I said, you know what, I don't care. f5. Takes. I still have my 2 pawns, and I'm going rook g here. I'm going bishop here. I'm, going to bring my attack in. Like, I thought this was fine. And because my king is on this side of the board, and he's going to have to try and weed his way through my position, he takes, but then he plays this. And now it's no longer winning, because you have to play knight e3 and control the position, because now this pawn is kind of dynamite to anchor the knight, and now it controls more squares. But he gets scared, and he plays f6. And now I realized that, okay, yes, knight here was a good idea for him. But I had to go for it. And, at a certain level, you just need to say, you know what, I have to go for it. And so that's what I looked at it. And, I didn't think much about knight e3. And so that was the idea. So then I played e6, and I locked down the center, and I said, I'm fine. I'm going to go knight e6, or not knight e6. I'm going to go pawn e6. Lock things in. Bishop can't go anywhere. This diagonal is pretty much cut off because I have 2 knights, and he has his knight in the way as well. And he goes here. And I said, you know what? Trade it off. Now you got a loner of a pawn. And now this is kind of unbreakable, other than this pawn, but even if, let's say, he goes queen b5, for example. Let's say I go here, right? Rook g1. Still continuing with my plan of attack to target his king. Let's say he went queen b5, which was his move, right? Well, now I have the move that I think I played. Well, actually, I think I should have played, which was d4. Sorry, not d4. This move, yes. And now I, control more squares. I also had the idea of maybe even going here, but then I realized, I just lose material with this. And so, I had to be careful. So I took with the pawn, but that's not accurate because he has this piece. I have this piece hanging. And I realized, I said, oh, wait. And in the game, I was calculating. In this position, I realized, oh, wait, it's not as clear as it seems to be. Maybe I have to go rook d1, which isn't even a good move because after rook d1, after rook d1, there's just a queen to b5. And now all this is happening. And, this was very looming in the position. Very looming. I know. Great English. But, I played takes the pawn, and then he took with the rook. And this is a bad move. Because now my attack is fully in fletch. And now I have the move that I played. And it was queen to h6. And there are no pieces coordinated. Believe it or not, you can go here. But knight f6 is killer. And all my pieces are looming on this weak pawn. And because his other pieces are just not there yet, and these knights are kind of just, stopping his attack from unfolding, my attack is more powerful. And I take, and I take, and it's mate. In this position, he had to go queen takes. And the queen is more powerful because it owns more of these squares. And it's a more forcing piece. But I came out on top. I thought I was playing a pretty decent attacking and positional game. And things just made sense for me. Yes, I made a few mistakes along the way. And my position wasn't fully fortified and strong, but I still had the idea of attacking the king, and I thought I was coordinating my pieces, and I wasn't really, and he didn't play as sharply as he should have, but I came out on top, and had a very nice mate with the knight, the queen, and the rook, doing its part. And so now we go to the last game. And this game, oh my goodness, this one was one that I wish I could get back. Because in this game, there was a lot of tactics and a position I wish I had done differently, but it's part of the learning process. And so, I play my trusty Caro. I play my advanced, I play knight d7, I play pawn break, I play rook to c8 and bishop to e7. This is all normal stuff for me. Got these two knights right here. He attacks my bishop, but that bishop doesn't need to do much. I can just swing right back. He can take, but he doesn't take, and then I bring my knight. And basically, when you do this advanced, and you want to start a queenside attack on these pawns, you usually reroute the knights, like in the last game where I rerouted my knights to these two sides of the board. He takes, and I take. I can castle, but I also still have my rook opening on that file. I castle now because now this is kind of unbreakable. You can't really infiltrate because this pawn clustered is kind of just really strong, and I really like this position, but I simply try to continue my attack. I play b6 to support this, and hopefully if he takes, then of course I'm going to take back, and I'm gonna like this position. So that's the idea that I was going for. So I just really wanted him to make that move, but he doesn't. He plays h4, which is the best move. And so now, even though I'm starting my attack on this side of the queen side of the board, I only have 1, 2, 3 pieces kind of in the game to help. And now he comes out with h4, and now he starts bringing his pieces and threatening to bring his rook and start terrorizing me. And I thought, I'm doing fine, right? But no, he has h5. And I start to think, I'm like, I'm still fine. I'm whatever, takes. But this is dead lost. Crazy enough. This is dead lost. I couldn't believe it. And so I had to play this f6 move to try and break out and give some breathing room for my king. Because now I'm like, okay, maybe I should just run my king the other way. He brings his other rook. And then I play a5. And you know what I should have done? I should have just continued with my idea of f6 and king here. But I was scared of this, because after I take, there would be knight here. And I thought after this, he's got queen to f6. And I didn't like this at all. So I completely discarded the idea of escaping my king right away. And so I played a4, maybe trying to break on the other side. But my opponent had the brilliant move. Knight to g5. And it's over. It's completely over. Knight g5 is a glorious move. And now it all comes crumbling down. If I take, which happened in the game, there's rook h8. King f7, and bishop h5. And that's it. This is the only move to save the position. It's actually the only forcible move. King h7, and I lost my queen. Yeah. Just when I thought my position was fine, it wasn't. It was unsavable. And my opponent had a very, very nice idea with this attack. Just bringing his pieces in, and I kind of ignored it. And it cost me the game. But I fought, and I still tried. But nothing was really going to go through. And, yeah, I played here. He brought his queen here. And then I lost my rook because queen b6. Or, sorry, queen b1. And that's the game. And I resigned. Chess is a tough game. Chess is a very, very, very tough game. But I've learned a lot. And it's good that I play these games with an actual board. Because, you know, sometimes I'm not always accurate. But the more comfortable I get with over the board, the better I'll become. And because I grew up with playing chess on the computer online, the transition from computer to over the board was actually quite difficult. Because you don't have arrows. You don't have, you know, all these different things to calculate moves. You don't have the 2D pieces. And instead, you're looking at a real board and you just don't see the moves that you see on online games, which results in a little bit of an inaccuracy in your games and not the most accurate play. But I can say one thing. Chess over the board will help me a lot. And so, yeah. The road to title series begins here with some of my training. Here's a little bit of insight. And, yeah, that is all, guys. We'll see you in the next one. And continue to follow the series. I'll have a playlist. And, yeah, you can follow the journey there. We'll see you in the next video.